Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. In the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. What is that about? It comes after a long line of blesseds, right? Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Blessed are the merciful. Blessed are the pure in heart. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake. And some of those are pretty much fine, right? We get that the merciful are blessed, and the pure in heart, the peacemakers. But I'm wondering how many who are poor in spirit actually feel blessed. A question. When someone you love has died and you are mourning, are you feeling blessed? Yeah, me neither. It kind of reminds me of a line from the movie The Princess Bride. One character says, "You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means." And yet, this passage from the Gospel of Matthew is so well known, so well loved, that it has its own name. It's the Beatitudes. I feel like there should be a choir of angels singing, Beatitudes, something like that, because it's just fun. So part of our task as Christians is to learn to live as though these words, the words of the Beatitudes, make sense. As though we truly understand what it is to be blessed because we mourn, to be blessed because we hunger and thirst for righteousness, blessed because we are persecuted for righteousness' sake. We know that the way we choose to function in the world shapes our understanding. The way we choose to pray shapes our belief. Our choices shape who we become. If we choose to live as though the Beatitudes are true, then we will begin to understand the way that they are true. We'll catch a glimpse into the way that God sees things and the way that Jesus called us to live in this life together. But what does that mean? In part, I think it means a redefinition of what we understand by the word blessed or blessed. I'm sure that we've all encountered people who use the word blessed as a substitute for fine or good. So as in, how you doing? Oh, I'm blessed. And in church circles, it can be even more so. How's your new youth group going? Oh, it's awesome. God is really blessing us. So blessing us means giving us lots of resources and enthusiastic people. And that's pretty different from when people revile you and persecute you and utter all manner of evil against you falsely on my account. This isn't an easy thing. It seems to be part of the human condition to want to claim that God is on our side, as opposed to seeking ways that we can be on God's side. We see that all the way through the stories of the Old Testament, where the desire for God's help in winning battles and fighting off invaders contrasts with the people of Israel turning aside from God and worshiping other gods and ignoring the poor and the disenfranchised in their midst, and forgetting the fact that they themselves are only God's people because God chose them and brought them out of slavery in Egypt into the land of promise. Our spiritual ancestors were chosen by God. And much of the Old Testament is a record of the way that they forgot about the good that God had done for them until they were in trouble. And then the prophets came to remind them. And Micah was one such prophet. In the book of Micah, he speaks kind of alternately both for God and for the people of Israel, and it can be a little confusing to hear and to read. So today's reading starts with God reminding the people of their history. Redemption from slavery in Egypt, that God empowered Moses and Aaron and Miriam as leaders, reminding them about God's refusal to curse the people of Israel at the request of the king of Moab. And then Micah switches, and he speaks for the people. And it's as though the people are complaining that this debt of gratitude is too great, it's too much. And it gets a little melodramatic. Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, or 10,000s of rivers of oil? Oh, how could I possibly do it? They want to know how they can possibly repay God for what God has done for them. They are being stupid. Of course they can't repay God. The idea that someone can repay God for what God has done for them is a form of idolatry. It's as though one is trying to equate God with oneself with God, right? It's as though God and a person are simply exchanging favors like neighbors might, right? I'll borrow your lawnmower this week, and then next week you can borrow my hedge trimmers. The Israelites, again, are demonstrating their flaws. And Micah makes it clear. There's no debt here that needs to be paid. What does the Lord require of you but to do justice and love kindness and walk humbly with your God? So to reiterate, this isn't an obligation that will pay off a debt. It's not that the Israelites need to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with their God for a week or a month or 10 years, and then their debt is paid. God wants God's people to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with God forever. It's not about payment of a debt. It's about God's vision for the world. Or look through another lens. Our collect this morning comes from the Gregorian sacramentary, which means that it is at least 1,300 years old. For 1,300 years, Christians across the world have been praying, "In our time, grant us your peace." 1,300 years. And have the past 1,300 years been full of peace? It doesn't seem like it, does it? But I think there's a problem with what we think of as peace. We think of peace as the absence of war. And then perhaps we go a little further and we think of peace as a time of prosperity, a time when we're all able to relax under our vine and fig tree. It conjures up images of being left alone to do as we please. Peaceful days spent lying in a hammock, maybe with a good book, or on the couch with a remote. In fact, sometimes we look to church to provide us with some peace, some sense of refuge from the world, a respite from the hustle and bustle of the world, outside of the church doors. We want to spend time in church focusing on what really matters, on God, on our relationship with God, on truth, on God's call to us. And that's good. That's really good. We should focus on what really matters, on God, and all that includes. But we make a mistake if we forget that God's peace is not a static thing. We make a mistake in trying to separate the peace of God in here from the world outside the church doors. God's desire is for us to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with God everywhere we go. That is God's peace. It crops up in little tiny places, here and there, for short times, sometimes a little longer. When we ask for God's peace in our time, we are committing ourselves to active partnership in bringing about that peace. Knowing that always God will do more than we can ask or imagine in bringing it about as well. Paul tells us that God chose what is foolish to shame the wise. God chose what is weak in the world to shame the strong. God showed up in person in an unimportant working class family in a backwater town, not connected with the rich and powerful of his age. And soon after being born, Jesus and his family were forced to flee persecution and became refugees. Eventually they were able to return to their own country, although I'm sure that the absence was not particularly good for Joseph's small business. Then as an itinerant teacher, Jesus wound up getting in trouble with the law and being executed. This is the message of the cross, and none of it aligns with the world's definition of success. But it does align with the beatitudes. It does align with God's peace. It does align with doing justice, loving kindness, and walking humbly with God. The message of the cross is both a reassurance that we are loved and chosen by God, and a challenge to us to get to work. Some parts of the Beatitudes show up naturally for us. Perhaps you are naturally poor in spirit, or perhaps you have recently suffered a deep loss and you're mourning. Others require some action from us. Do you have the capabilities to become a peacemaker? In what ways do you show mercy to those less fortunate than yourself? If you hunger and thirst for righteousness, are you active enough in the pursuit of righteousness that anyone notices and criticizes you for it? If you don't hunger and thirst for righteousness, can you educate yourself about the lives of others so that you do feel that hunger? Part of the work of All Saints is to support you, members of this congregation, in your Christian life and journey. As we move forward, doing justice, loving kindness, and walking humbly with God, as we do our best to live into the blessedness of the Beatitudes, as we partner with God to bring about God's peace in our time. And as we proclaim the message of the cross through word and example, know that your church and your clergy support you and stand with you. How will you choose to move forward from here?